We're back. This is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. I'm attorney Vincent. Okay, let's talk to, is it Sophina from Georgia? Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Sophonia?
Yes, hello?
Hello.
Hi there. I'm calling from the state of Georgia, and I have a question.
Go ahead.
When I was 17, residing in Alameda County, city of Oakland, state of California, I was in foster care. And I had been in foster care for several years at that point. My mother would visit me periodically. My foster mother, who was residing in Oakland then, explained to my family that she needed the income and that she did not have any objections to me residing with a relative so long as she continued to receive the income. My relative agreed. So one weekend, my mother picked me up from a relative and said that we would be going to Nevada to get me married to my, I suppose we could say, high school sweetheart. And my mother drove my then high school sweetheart, who was 18, and me at 17 to the state of Nevada, Carson City, Nevada, and signed a consent for me to be married, and I was married in a chapel. And my question is that when returning to California, their attitude at the foster home was, well, she's almost 18. So at 18, I moved in with my then spouse, and over the years, learning what I began to learn now, I would ask the question, who was at fault? Because I was on the watch of the foster care system. My parent was already then deemed irresponsible. The foster mother was allowing me to reside at a relative residence so long as they continued to receive the checks.
Right.
And that had continued. And I would just like to know, I am a multiracial matriarch at this point. I am not young anymore. I am a grandmother, and I've been an independent homeschooler since 1994, and I've raised a social worker. I've raised one who has a degree in IT, and I am a grandparent. And as a result of my experiences from foster care, my grandchildren are now being raised as private school or homeschool, and they have been home birthed. My family does not trust the system, and the negligence it seems to be limitless. And initially, I wanted to write a book, and so I'm more so just initiating contact with your office, because I would like to know at what point was anyone being negligent with me as I was generously humbled through the system and misguided, and then left at the age of 18 to figure everything out and make it right.
Okay. So based upon what you've told me, I would say that the foster parent and probably the county of Alameda might have some culpability in what happened to you. Because you're still a minor, you're only 17. But then there's
Right.
that factor of your mother getting involved and, helped with the marriage. But let's go back for a second. The foster parents should have never given you to the relative without court permission or social worker permission. And the fact that the social worker knew or didn't know or should have known, that's a big issue. But the foster parents seemed like they were committing some type of fraud, not only...
The agreement was that whenever the social worker, and I know their names, I know everyone's names, whenever the social worker would call and they were going to make a home visit, the foster mother would call my relative and say, when you pick her up from school, bring her over because she's going to have a visit. And it was something that, as a generosity, my relative had to intervene and allow for their home to be open to me because this is the 1980s I'm talking about. I was extremely bullied in foster care. I was in group homes in San Francisco, Richmond, Panola, East Oakland, Fremont, and Newark. And San Francisco group homes. My mother is Caucasian. My father is Black Native. And because the United States federal government does not acknowledge that biracial, triracial is a independent racial classification, and the one-drop rule is non-existent anymore, I was bullied from just about everyone. And it's a very serious system. And at some point,
4 minutes,
I was even being introduced to people that the group home counselors were wanting me to meet.
What do you mean? Hold on, what does that mean?
There was, at some point when I was residing in a group home in San Francisco, and one of the group home counselors would schedule a dental visit, and the doors on the vehicle would not open from the inside, so they would get out and they would come over and ask me to stand outside of the car, wait for them while they went in to confirm the appointment. And at that point, a very, very well put together gentleman would approach, have friendly small talk, I suppose, give me a business card, and
3 minutes.
Anytime that I needed to call and needed help, please call him. And as he would leave, then the group home counselor would come outside and say, okay, come in. And I did see them kind of nod. And of course, then I was a teenager, so I did not know anything about, was that just an acknowledgement of friendly passerby, or were they known by each other? And there are just several of those kinds of incidents that take place. And just everything confidential that happens that the parents are not ever informed of. At the
2 minutes.
15, I met my father at a bus stop accidentally, completely unknowingly.
Hey, Sophina. My engineer is telling me we're going to be coming up on another break, but I just want to say this to you. I would like to help you write that book. All right?
Okay.
Because I think people need to know what goes on in the foster care system. And from what I've heard and experienced in the last 33 years or 32 years, it's not what we think. It's not what people would generally think. Sophina, I want to thank you for calling.